Hey everybody, welcome to my talk today. It's um, business basics and internal referral based marketing. So when we're looking to grow a regenerative clinic, there's a lot of important aspects that we need to be thinking about when we open our clinics. Many of you already have a clinic going and you're looking to bring in regenerative medicine, and some of you are trying to break away from a large medical system or hospital system and open up your own shop. So these tactics are going to be different for the size of clinic that you have and what you're looking to do. But many of them, no matter how large or small that you are important to be thinking about at all times. And one of the things I want to really drive home today is those of you that already have your own shop and you're looking to add regenerative medicine as one of your service lines, is you have a lot more patients than you think that are ready to do regenerative medicine. When I talk to many clinics out there and they're looking to bring on regenerative medicine and they already have an established clinic, they're talking about, okay, how do I get new clients? Well, you already are taking care of clients, and if it's in any type of orthopedic setting that's dealing with pain of any sorts, those are the clients that you need to be looking at first and foremost. Base it on the people that you've already been helping, and you will leapfrog your ability to get into the regenerative game overall. So, one of the things we want to think about is where are you marketing? And right away, I want to be looking at lobby, during appointment, other departments in the community, and your communications. All right. If you focus on these four aspects of marketing, you're going to be able to attain regenerative patients relatively quickly if you do it in a couple very um, succinct manners. So one of the things I talk about is free marketing. There's lots of free marketing that's out there and you're able to take advantage of. And these are going to be referral partners, educational seminars, lunch and learns to local businesses, and then social media. These free marketing techniques will allow you to grow any clinic that you have, whether it's regenerative medicine or not. But these four free marketing techniques are very important for regenerative medicine overall because a lot of it involves education. And when we can do this in a manner to where we're doing free marketing, and if you can stay away from having to put into paid marketing, you're going to be much more stable as a company overall, and you know where to put your time and effort. So the first thing I want to talk about is referral partners. And to do that, you have to create a network of some sort. When creating a network, you also want to look at what is your strategy for creating a network, and who are you going to reach out to and when. For us, we talk about trying to hit 3 to 5 businesses every week. And those could be a variety of different businesses. We've got medical clinics, we've got professional services that we need to be looking at. And the common theme between medical clinics and professional services is they have a network inside of themselves and they have people that are coming back to them and look up to that person for advice. So medical clinics, that is an easy one. We all understand why we need to be reaching out to the chiropractors, the PT clinics, the functional medicine, the primary care, even the surgeons. You should be reaching out to all of these people in different manners to see if you can get into their network of referrals. Chiropractors is an important one, and because we can help augment what they're doing and send their patients right back. So, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on medical clinics because we all know the importance of making sure that we are reaching out to other medical professionals for referral sources back and forth. One that I do want to point out though is surgeons. They do, most of them at least right now, are starting to be more and more apt to regenerative medicine because sometimes their people aren't ready for surgery. Either they're too young or just not damaged enough and they want to do what's best for the patient. So they will send them over to regenerative medicine and say, hey, this will take care of you for now. Come back to me if ends up getting worse. So those are good ones to have. Plus, if you connect with a couple good surgeons, those are your referral partners when someone comes to you with way too bad of an injury or their arthritis has gotten so bad that it's jagged edges on bones and surgery is the best option for them. So there is very much a reason why we need to be talking back and forth with the surgeons. The next one I wanted to talk about, though, is for professional services. Now, professional services has a wide range of people. And really, I want to talk about things like hair salons, yogis, personal trainers. You can even think of bartenders. But the reason why I talk about professional services is these are the type of people or businesses that have recurring patients that are coming back, and they're spending time and have face-to-face interactions with these customers. So think of a salon. When females go into a salon, they spend an average of an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in a chair talking with their stylist. Those um, conversations can go a lot of different ways. And if they ever start talking about pain and injury, that stylist can go, "Hey, have you ever heard of such and such clinic? They actually do regenerative medicine." And that could be a way for you to avoid surgery or get out, stay away from opioids, or just come up with an actual solution to your pain. So those are good ones that not a lot of people think of. Massage therapists, yogis, personal trainers, those types of situations, they are seen on a regular basis, spending time, and usually that client trusts the person delivering that service. So when they can really talk about it um, and present you as an option for help, they're going to trust the recommendation coming from that person. Personal trainers and massage therapists are perfect examples of this because they are dealing with people on a physical level, and they know when they're in pain, they know when they have dysfunction, and they are looking for help of some sort. So don't forget about your professional services, not just your looking for your medical clinics. And then when you do this, to create a good network, you need to track and you need to acknowledge. So whether it's a chiropractor, the yogi, the stylist, or a surgeon, you should be tracking who's sending people to you, if you're sending people back to them, and making sure that you acknowledge them. It can be a simple thank you letter, or it's going to be a follow up with directions of what you did and what you recommend for the person so that you can involve them in the care plan of the patient overall. Just make sure you have all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted for permission to be able to speak on health related matters both ways. So that's something that we want to look at when we talk about creating a network. The more you focus on this, and the more that you put time into tracking and acknowledging and holding accountable the back and forth relationship, the stronger that becomes and the more stable your business becomes, because again, it's free marketing that you're doing. Yes, it takes time on you or your employees to create that, but once it's created, then it just has to be maintained. And that maintenance is something that so many clinics end up forgetting about. Is we need to make sure these partnerships stay strong. Just like any plant or garden out there, if you're not watering it, if you're not weeding it, it's going to get overtaken and just fade away. We've experienced this in our clinic before too. We just get too busy and we just assume that these referrals are going to continue. But if we're not referring back, if we're not continuing the conversation and having quarterly or monthly check-ins with them, they can fade away without you even noticing. Somebody else is going to get those referrals coming. So a lot of people ask, how do we even get these referrals going back and forth? How do I go in to talk to a personal trainer? Or how do I go in and talk to a stylist or a surgeon or a chiropractor? So there's a couple good strategies for this. So the number one is we do a give, ask. This means we're going to supply them with multiple benefits of the relationship before we ever ask for a patient. So how can we do this? You could walk into a chiropractor's office and you could talk to the front desk. And remember, you have to get past the front desk in just about all of these situations. And how do you get past that front desk? The number one way is to say, hey, can I talk to Dr. So-and-so, or can I talk to the owner? Because I want to send you guys patients. if someone comes into Rejuve Medical or any other locations that I coach, and they go, I would like to send you guys patients. If the office manager, if the owner isn't saying, I want to talk to that person, they're doing a disservice to their business. If you have the opportunity to attain more patients, you should at least take a short meeting or schedule a follow-up so you can have that meeting. So again, I'm going to go into the chiropractor office and I'm going to say, hey, can I talk to Dr. So-and-so? Right away, they're probably going to say, well, they're too busy. I can take a message. Well, this is Garrett with Clinic X. Actually, I have a lot of patients that I would like to start to potentially send this way, but I want to find out a little bit more about your doctor or your clinic. That should be immediate flag to that front desk that this is an important thing that we should at least bring to the owner and see what they want to do. That's the first one. Next one is, how can I help your business? Would you like to learn more about nutrition? Would you like to learn more about orthopedics, pain, the solutions that are out there to help your patients better? Again, I'm not saying I want your patients. I'm just saying, could I provide information? Could be lunch and learns to your staff members on ergonomics. Could be, I'm going to bring some lunch and put on a meeting about overall healthcare system, understanding a different aspect of healthcare that they provide. So that's number two. That's two ways to give right there. After that, we're hoping that they see the relationship as potentially good. And that's when you can actually say, well, just in case I can help you guys in any way, I would like to give you some referral pads. And with these referral pads, you can actually refer some patients back to me that might need a little bit more help in an area that you don't have experience or that you're not able to deliver. And then my job is to help them through that and then send them right back. And that is the important part about that, is telling them, I'm only going to help them on the area that you recommend. And then I send them back to you for further treatments and further steps in their journey. Yes, we might be able to help them on multiple different aspects, but we don't want to ruin that relationship with that referral partner, because we've had this happen before, even just recently. Someone gets referred to us for pain. Well, we've got an integrated model, so we refer that patient after we see them for the pain and we're starting treatment. We're saying, okay, now let's see our nurse practitioner do some functional medicine. Well, that nurse practitioner didn't know that this person already had a personal trainer that was taking care of multiple aspects of their healthcare. So our nurse practitioner started recommending some nutritional changes. Well, once the personal trainer found out that they're taking care of nutrition, recommending different supplements, that took away from their revenue stream and their care plan that they already had established. So what I had to do after that is find out where the breakdown in communication was, and then go, hey, by the way, what we're going to do going forward is anytime that someone comes from this business, we are going to make sure that we probably stay away from that nutrition area. Yes, we can still see them for multiple aspects of functional medicine, but just not play with their nutrition or ask them to bring over what they're doing with their personal trainer in that company, and then we can just build upon that, or have the discussion with the personal trainer again once we have the form signed, that we can talk about some of that health information. Once we do that, that business now goes, hey, they are really looking out for, one, my patient, and two, they're not trying to steal my patients. They're trying to help them to where I can get the best out of them in the end. So that's when you create a very good and strong referral relationship back and forth. Now, in doing this, you can do one of the key aspects of making sure that you have long-term stable growth, and that is build a community of integrated health. You don't always have to have all these services under your own roof. You can build a community of health. So maybe you're doing non-surgical orthopedics and regenerative medicine, but you really like IV therapy. Well, instead of bringing in all the cost of bringing in IV therapy, you find an IV therapy location that you really like. You can start recommending all of your clients there. Same thing with the PT facility, same thing with the supplements, all of these different aspects you don't need to have in your own brick and mortar. If you do, yes, you can potentially make more profits off that, but it's also more risk and cost up front. But when you don't want to put on the full risk or the full cost of bringing all those things in house, at least start with somebody in the community and build that integrated health network. So that is a very strong area for you to look at growing stability in your clinic and grow that regenerative medicine line that you're looking to grow. And at the end, it comes down to tracking. No one who achieves success does so without acknowledging the help of others. The wise and confident acknowledge the help with gratitude. And this is making sure when we do this tracking that we acknowledge who sent these people over, who helped us achieve what we're trying to achieve. So in that tracking, what are we going to be looking for? Who are sending you potential patients? Or who are you sending potential patients to? So we want to make sure that if we're sending them to a chiropractor, if we're sending them to a personal trainer, if we're sending them to an IV clinic, are they sending back to us? These relationships need to be reciprocated. And if they're not, then we find somebody else that can deliver that same level and say, hey, I would like to start sending them to you. And hopefully, if you have patients that you can send to me, that will be great. Again, we can't demand it, but we can always urge people in different directions and ways to go. Are you sharing information? And if you are, is it appropriate information that you're sending? Are there releases of information that need to be signed? Are you sharing it with non-medical professionals? Are you following all the HIPAA laws? Those types of things. But if you are, sharing that information is just going to help each side out because they're going to know what one hand is doing and what the other hand is doing. Because if they're all doing different things, it's going to end up leading to poor outcomes. But if we're using them in a synergistic way, that information is going to be super valuable for attaining optimal results for our patients. And when we get optimal results for our patients, we get multiple times back because they are going to speak the love about all of your businesses all over town. The last thing is make sure you send thank you cards and thank you letters to your referral partners. I know there's a lot of stuff that we can't do, but a simple thank you does do a lot. Can you do more than that? That's up to you to decide what you want to do while staying within the breadth of the laws. But beyond that, do a clinic visit. Bring over lunch one day and do a lunch and learn just as a gift to them because you like their staff and how they're working. Very simple thing to do to reciprocate what they're doing for you. After that, we start to go, okay, how do we educate the community? Biggest things are health fairs. We're coming out of the COVID now, so we can actually start to do some of this stuff again. We can go out into the community and they're going to have health events. Have a booth at these things. Have a booth that attracts people over by having little gimmick either games or little diagnostic tools that you can use. I know some of you have done stuff like biophotonic hand scanning, where you're just measuring how many antioxidants are in somebody. It's gamified. If you haven't, stop by one of the booths and I'm guaranteeing someone's going to have it here or at the next one, sorry, or reach out and I'll give you some information about it. But it's an easy little diagnostic tool that tells them what their score is. And then since it doesn't really cost anything, they're going to go and find their friend that's also at the same health fair and say, well, I scored this. What did you score? They're going to come over. And now you're collecting emails, you're getting conversations started, they're finding out more about you. Those types of things are really important for having at something like a health fair. Next is in-house seminars. We can finally start to host these things again, depending on where you are. We're actually going to host ours, first one in over a year here, I think this week. So we'll let you guys know how that went, maybe in the Q&As. But in-house seminars or virtual are great ways to educate people about functional medicine and regenerative medicine. So if we're going to do this, we want to make sure that we advertise it well to our current patients as well as potential patients so they can come and we can teach them more about regenerative medicine in a comfortable setting to where we're not just selling to them. We are educating them, answering questions, and they don't feel like it's all directed at them. They can open up, they can hear other people's stories on whether it's successful for them or what's going in their life, and if that could potentially help them and other people in the audience. So I highly suggest doing some of these in-house and virtual seminars if you can. They are very powerful. It gets people into your doors, especially if you're doing them in-house. And once they're in your clinic, you have a much higher chance of converting them than if they're not going to be in your clinic. Next is business lunch and learns. Don't just do lunch and learns for other health professionals, but go and do it at the local businesses. If somebody has a staff of 15 or more, yeah, go see if you can buy lunch, get everybody in. If you have some large corporations, you can do this on a monthly basis and allow people. Talk to the HR directors. They're typically looking for ways to educate their employees on different health related manners. And sometimes they actually have a budget for it. So they'll actually pay you to do it, or they'll buy all the lunch so you don't have to. But business lunch and learns can be a very powerful tool to get your name out there and create some of those relationships. One of the things I do with businesses, if I'm going to provide a lunch and learn, I might do it for free, but then I want them to be able to send out a newsletter from me once a month. So you create a different relationship. The next one is professional opinions or the media. So a couple different ways that you can go with this. One is a lot of radio stations, TV stations are looking for medical professionals to answer questions when they have them. So if you can become the go-to medical professional in your community on radio and TV, that can be a very beneficial thing because then your community is seeing you as the community expert. And that can be very beneficial to anybody because anytime you get to answer questions, that's free advertising for you. Typically, they're not paying anybody. Sometimes they do, but really it's just advertising for you and it gives you the clout of the medical expert. The other thing is educating some of those other professionals that are in the media. So if you can find a disc jockey, if you can, or a radio host, you can find somebody that's on TV. If you can find some local celebrities of any sort and teach them about what you do and even give possibly them a free service, then they can actually start to speak about the regenerative medicine experience, and they are already a point of authority to many people and a point of authority and believability. So that's why you would do some of those trade outs or comps, but you really want to make sure that you've got educated celebrities in your corner. And it could be just local celebrities, doesn't need to be the worldwide celebrities. But if you get one of those, that's even better. All right, then I go into social media. Social media can be free. And if you're going to be looking for free, you need to become the beacon. And what I mean by that is social media right now, and pretty much always has been, just a mess of information. False information, true information. Nobody knows what to believe because nobody has really grown up fully immersed in social media to be able to tell what's true versus what's false. We've all witnessed our relatives starting to spread these Facebook hacks or medical information. When you read it, you just go, who actually believes that? People do because they say, well, it's on Facebook, so it must be real. I have multiple family members that I just go, you got to just get off Facebook or social media all around. But you do have the ability to become the beacon in all these stormy weathers out here. Be the lighthouse that people go, well, I want to see what Dr. So-and-so says about this. I want to see what this clinic is saying about this. That's what I mean about becoming the beacon. You should be the safe harbor for the truth. And you can do that, but you have to develop a following. So what are some strategies to becoming the beacon? Give people what they want. Recipes. People love nutritional recipes. It could be for a shake, it could be for dinners, breakfast, other things like that, or it could be for recipes for life. Hey, how do you live a healthy life? Those types of things. But mainly, food recipes are the best. I wouldn't take a firm stance on any certain nutritional plan. I would embrace them all and say, everybody, there's a nutrition plan for each person, but it's usually not all the same. And then you can open yourself up and you can put all types of stuff out there. And don't be afraid to put in some stuff that's not exactly super healthy for you, but you go, hey, for when you do want to have a cheat meal, or hey, when you do want to have a cocktail party, here's some great recipes. But we tell them life's about balance and moderation. Next thing, testimonials. You want your patients talking about what it was like to be with you, not just the results, but how you are as a person and as a professional. We want them to get to know the person behind the veil a little bit. Now, you have to be protective on when you do that, but overall, when we talk to patients, we want them to sing praises of the clinic. Now, if you're a one person shop, we want them saying your name. If you're not, I want them to be saying the name with Dr. So and so or with the PA or any sort. But testimonies bring social proof, and social proof are critical for believability because they're going to say, hey, I know that person, or that person from the same neighborhood as I am, or community as I am. It creates that relatable feeling that goes, if it worked for them, it can work for me. That's why sometimes having those huge celebrities aren't always the best. Now, if you're selling a nationwide product, a huge celebrity status is great because you're looking for people that don't care about, they actually don't know the person. They just see, hey, Bono takes that, so it must be good. But when your reach is only 50 miles, or maybe you're very, very dense area and your reach is only 5 miles, 10 miles, you want to start to get people that have a little bit more believability in that area. And that might not be a huge celebrity. It might be a local relative or a friend that they want to see. So testimonies can be a great way for social proof and validation of your clinic. Case studies. Case studies are put out there for validity. And they could be your own case studies if you want to call it testimonies case studies, but really here I'm looking at educational documents that are being put out usually by universities or large study groups that are showing proof of concept. So if we're talking about regenerative medicine, we want educational studies done, and then we present that as, yes, studies have been done on this stuff. I'm not just trying to get anecdotal evidence, I'm trying to get empirical evidence too. Here's a study, shows growth of cartilage in the knee with this many patients over this long of time. Those things are great to have because then you can lay that down. And trust me, the people aren't going to read them. They just want to know that they're there. So you don't have to go in great detail about it. You just say, hey, here's a study that shows 700 people that had regenerative medicine and 95% of them had positive outcomes. Great. They're just going to say, all right, there's a university tied to it. That's all I need to know. Great. Thank you. You're going to get some people that actually read it word for word, but not many at all. Next thing is, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is life advice. Tell them what it is to be a doctor, what it is to like work in the medical profession, but also go how important it is for them to go camping or just go and get grounded, meaning take your shoes and socks off and go walk on the ground because there's things that happen and you get a little bit more tied into the earth. You can talk about all those types of things, stress, life, kids, marriage, dating, all those types of things. Don't be afraid to talk about it. People want to hear about the stuff outside of just the clinic. They want to hear about what's happening. If somebody in your clinic is doing a fundraiser, talk about the fundraiser. If someone in your business just celebrated a birth, as long as they're comfortable with it, celebrate it. Show them that you are actually more than just a place of business. Show them that you guys are real people and relatable people, and that tugs at the heartstrings. And that's when they will open up a little bit more about it. And the last thing is probably one of the most important: medical opinions. If you can gain their trust, they want to know. So when COVID was out there, we had our doctors out there giving information on COVID, giving recommendations of what they thought while they talked to their community of partners. So medical advice is a good one. Sometimes you want to take a stern footing. Sometimes you just want to put um, information out there to allow the person to make up their decision. So lots of different ways to go with medical opinions, but definitely put it out there because somebody else's, and trust me, the stay-at-home spouse that is just mouthing off on whether vaccinations are good or bad, whether aspirin is good or bad, whether a nutrition program is good or bad, has no training except the University of Facebook or University of Instagram or University of TikTok. They don't have the educational background that you have. And that's where we can actually take a stand and allow people to reach out to medical professionals that know what they're talking about because they care what they're talking about. And that's the biggest thing. Make sure that you know, that the audience knows that you're coming from a place of care, not a place of, hey, I'm going to tell them that this supplement is the best thing in the world. It's going to prevent them and make them feel like Superman just so they can sell another supplement. There's sales, and then there's caring. We want to be caring that leads into bringing people into our community, and that's going to lead to conversions and sales. We're not selling to sell. We sell because we care. All right, business networking. How do you do this? Local Chamber of Commerce is the first place you need to start. If you're opening up a clinic, your Chamber of Commerce wants you to be successful and is going to connect you with other people in your business community that can be a good partner. BNIs, BRGs, referral networks. Many of you have been part of these in the past. If you haven't, they are smaller groups. It's like the Chamber of Commerce, but it's smaller networks that usually meet every week or two. Anywhere from 5 to 20 people are in them, and they actually have requirements of, hey, everybody needs to bring 2 referrals for somebody every meeting. Doesn't need to be 2 for a certain company, but you need to hand out 2 referrals every time that you come to that meeting. So there's expectations on there of how to grow. Charities. Remember, there's lots of ways to donate to a charity: time, money, effort, materials. You've got great, you might have employees that can donate. I know some companies that actually say, we will donate 5 hours of your time every month can go towards helping at charities. It's a great way to get your name out there. It's a great way for being part of the community and things like that. Doctors, what can you give away for free? You can give away your time, your efforts, your education, those types of things that don't cost the business anything, but it does take time. But charities can be a very good one. So I would recommend you at least pick 1 or 2 charities that you can be a little bit more dedicated to, but then help out some other ones as you can. Lobby your success. So what are you actually doing in your lobbies right now to make sure that you're successful? We do something called rack cards. Rack cards are just little things about the size of an envelope, but it's going to have information on it. I don't know what information I just showed you guys, but hopefully it wasn't anything too bad, and it's not. It's just some reminders of stuff I need to do a couple months ago. But those rack cards talk about different service lines that you provide and then gives more information. So you could have an IV rack card, regenerative medicine rack card, a functional medicine rack card, a supplement rack card, depending on all the service lines that you have. And all this does is allows people to get a little bit more information about that, and they're easy just to pick up right off the shelving in your lobby. Next one is, if you don't have a television, get a television in your lobby. but don't put it on TV, put it on you. Create your own TV station. So this should be testimonials of your patients, educational talks that you host, as well as you can make short little blurbs and commercials, almost like your rack cards. So it could show your IV department, could show your functional medicine, could show different team members and have some fun with that. But then you want testimonials and explanation of services. So if someone's just sitting there waiting for their appointment to start and they're starting to hear you talk about regenerative medicine and then hear a couple testimonies, that way when they get into the room with you and you start to bring up regenerative medicine, then they could go, oh, yeah, I just heard about that stuff in the lobby. I was curious about if PRP actually works and will that actually work for my shoulder? Starts that conversation. For those of you that are still doing super bills, or if the patient comes in and gets handed paperwork right away, put a little note in there, a little postcard or something like that about your upcoming seminar, about different service lines, maybe something's new. But every month I would put what's new with the company or different reminders. That can be a very powerful way of disseminating information and talking about events. Another one, not a lot of people put this to use, but internet service. If people are going to try to get onto your Wi-Fi, you can actually say, well, yes, to be on our Wi-Fi, you just have to supply us with your email. And then once they do that, you can do a whole lot of stuff with different targeting, marketing efforts, ads, and stuff like that. So it's can be a good tool to use, but it's not something that you have to go and chase after. It's just another good tool that you can have at your disposal. We want to make sure that we're talking about all of these things during our appointments. Our appointments are the time when we get to actually sit in the room and have that one-on-one deep conversation with our patients. So what do we want to be doing in that? During your appointment, your intake paperwork should have multiple questions on what's happening with this person. Well, those should end up being leading questions. So we have some for just anybody that comes into our facility. We have them fill out a 2-page thing and it just has a lot of leading questions, letting us know which direction in the clinic that we can send them. Signs and posters. Your signs and posters shouldn't be just motivational signs. They should be educational. Educate them about regenerative medicine services. Educate them about the difference of what you do versus what other people do. Educate them on the success of regenerative medicine. The more media pieces that they see about regenerative medicine, the success and the overall believability of it can do a lot. Next, don't underestimate your recommendation. They are looking for your recommendation. They want to know what you think that they should do. But in that, don't think that you have to heal everybody the best right away. Yes, we want to, but not everybody can afford it. It kind of breaks their heart once you're like, oh yeah, I can totally fix you 100%. And then you're going, but that's going to cost you $15,000. Oh, well, I can't afford that. So you want to start to dig into what their situation is, hopefully, and this takes a lot of time. There's different classes on it and strategies, but you want to always I would always go with 3 recommendations. You can do 2. I always go 3, good, better, and best. And with that, you can say, well, we can do HA injection for this knee pain. That will tell us if there's some healing capabilities in there and it'll help relieve some pain. Or we can do PRP, which is going to be cost about $1,300, and I'm confident that that's going to give you some good relief. Or we could go to stem cells, and that's going to be about $5,700, but that's your best chance of getting the most relief. This way, it puts it into their court. You always say which one of those 3 you recommend in their situation, and don't think you always have to jump to stem cells. You might feel that they're not really ready to do anything, so you're going to go, but I recommend for yours, how about we just start out with some HA injections, see if that creates some relief, because then that's a leading indicator that regenerative medicine has a really good shot in the end. And we can always look at doing PRP or stem cells in a month or two. So that's why I always recommend that you give a couple of recommendations of what's possible and then give your opinion on what they should do. Next one is why wait? Educate. Make sure that you have multimedia in there to where they're like, well, I would like to learn more about stem cells and PRP. Have an iPad ready and say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to play a short video for you. It's going to take about 5 minutes. So I'm going to step out of the room. I'm going to go see my next patient, and then I'll be back to answer any questions after that. Or you can send in an assistant or something like that. But have the education ready. It could be just handouts, or it could be something more like an iPad that they can watch, or a TV on the wall that they can watch a little bit more information about it while it buys some time for you to continue on with your business. Next is the integrated care model. We know one-on-one is usually not as good as 3 people helping that person that are all working in a team. So what about the integrated model? What other services do you offer? Can you help them in multiple ways in more synergistic way to actually create that? If you don't be afraid and don't think that you have to bring it all in, because again, that's a lot of cost and overhead. So look at outside services to create that integrated community. Supplements is something that you can all start today. It's not going to break the bank to bring in. You can do online services like whole scripts or something like that. But then there's also ways that you can just start out with a couple supplements that you really believe in, get those rolling, and then slowly grow your supplement line in-house. The last thing is I always talk about create a journey for your patient. Life is going to get difficult. Their bodies are going to break down. Create a journey for them so they know that it's not just, hey, I'm going to give you a service and then you're done. No, I'm going to give you a service. We're going to see how you react and then build upon that. There should be multiple steps that they have to take. And you want to kind of build that journey in their head and then say, but step 1, we have to make a decision on where to go. And then that will lead us into the next step after that. So that could be different body parts. It could be enhancing the results that they're getting, be helping in multiple different ways. Next thing is we got to make sure we get the message out about all the stuff that you do. If you're not telling everybody about what you can do, you can be the best doctor in the world, but you're going to fail because you're not allowing people to hear what you can do. So that's what it comes down to. We've got text marketing, we've got surveys, email strategies, social followers. These are different ways that we should be communicating with our potential patients to help them know what we're doing. And this doesn't have to cost a lot. A lot of these things you can get almost free for services, but we want to make sure that we're educating, especially on that social followers. What we want to make sure in the end, though, is when you're doing all of these marketing strategies, when you're talking about converting somebody, we are not used car salesmen. And I use that just as a general term, not as a derogatory term towards used car salesmen. But we're not trying to be slimy out there. We're not trying to just sell to sell. We're selling because we're caring. And we want to help somebody find solutions. If they believe that our heart is in the right place, they are going to do that. And they're going to realize that, hey, this person isn't trying to just get me to do a procedure. This person is trying to help me find a solution for the pain that I'm feeling. And that's where regenerative medicine comes in. And that's where all of you as practitioners can be so much more powerful and impactful in changing the paradigm of healthcare overall, because we don't need to be putting people through more long-term pain. I remember my mom and my dad. My dad had PRP and stem cell done on his knee. He was great. My mom decided she didn't want to fork over the money for that and decided to do knee surgery. That was a year and a half ago, and she's still in pain. And she hated and regretted it. And she's like, I'm never going through this again. If I need to do my other knee, I'm doing PRP or stem cells first. And that's what we need to be doing and looking at people. But this is where we run into a lot of mistakes. So what are some of those common mistakes? I need to sell to them. You don't need to sell to them. You need to educate them and allow them the ability to make a decision. And when we feel that we need to sell to them, we do too much too fast. I know of one of our providers, and I talked to her about this, and it just changed the way that she was thinking about it. We did some free consults, and they were just educational consults for regenerative medicine, but she went into those and thinking, I got to get this person on stem cells. I got to get this person to buy PRP while they're here. It's too much for the person, and it's too fast. I relate that to going on a first date and asking the person to marry you. Yeah, it works out every once in a while, but very rarely. Usually you end up getting slapped or something like that. You're never going to get to that second date. Well, same thing with when we bring people in and we try to sell too fast to them and try to get them to do stem cells or PRP too fast. We want to get them just to get interested in them on the first one. So we got to hold back. You might want to kiss that person on the first date, but if they're not ready, you're never going to see them again. So you have to look for the indications during the conversations to see if they're ready to be kissed, just like you have to look for the indications in your conversations about if they're ready to go to that next level for regenerative medicine. This takes some time and it takes some training, but it's not as hard as people think it is. Right away, just play it safe. Educate them, put it in their hands, give them their options, recommend what you would recommend for them, but feel them out and see what they want to do. Let the decision be in their hands. Another very common mistake is these people aren't scientists. We often try to educate these people on too much. We start talking about mesenchymal stem cells, amniotic fluid, and all this stuff. They don't know what that stuff means, most of them. They just want to hear what you do and how you can help them. So I always say, keep it to a 6th grade educational level. And then in the end, who makes the decision? It's not you. It's going to be them. But your job is to educate them to make that better decision. So make sure that you allow them to make a decision, but give the recommendations for them. Throughout all of this, you always have to be looking at systems. How do you create a great system? And for me, that actually stands for something. Great. Gain attention, reinforce, engage, affirmation, and taken in. And throughout this, it means that we have to look at things of selling without selling. We don't want to create these barriers between us. We want to make sure that we just educate that information, and we can kind of adjust them in different situations and respond to how they're doing. So how do we actually do this? 5 reasons. 5 reasons anybody buys is they buy because there's hope, they have a fear of loss, desire to gain something, they want to avoid pain, or they want to gain happiness. Those are the 5 reasons most people buy something. And we can go into deep conversations about that another time, but these are the 5, and the strongest out of these is hope. Next strongest is fear of loss. So when we do this, we want to establish a connection with all of our patients. And to establish that, the key components of conversations is to build relationship, find out their true why, find out their wants versus their needs, see if it's emotional, urgent, or some type of a commitment. And then we need tie downs and confirmations of how we're actually going to do this. So these aspects of building a relationship and getting a conversation going is where it really comes down to. Whenever we're in there, we want to find one big thing, their true why. Why are they here? Anybody can be in pain, but do they want to solve the pain, and why? So you have to dig down. And do they want to play with their grandkids more? Do they want to run a marathon? Do they want to be able to travel more? If you can find out their true why, that's when you can actually start to help them and say, okay, I see that you've been really missing running marathons, and that was your one true passion. So how do we get you back doing that? Well, these are some options that we can do, but it's going to be a journey. So let's start you on step one and start building back into that. And then we also have to overcome obstacles when we do this. So what are the 5 obstacles that we have? Time, money, spousal approval, procrastination, and injury and disease. These are the types of things that we want to make sure that we address during our conversation. Again, this takes some training, but you have to be prepared to come up with reasons to overcome these 5 reasons that someone is going to try to prevent you from converting them. And then we come to why patients leave. There's really only 3 reasons why patients leave, and those are they no longer see the value, poor customer service or poor service overall, and lack of results. The poor service or customer service, that's an easy one to address. Be nice to your patients, make sure you take care of them, follow up when you tell them to, or do what you say and say what you do. No longer see value means whatever the price is, they don't see as much value coming back. And then lack of results, that's pretty much self-explanatory, but we have to make sure that we address on the forefront. Like, yes, you might not get the results that you're looking for right away, but we have to find out why that's happening and make adjustments. And in the end, if you can start to look at converting people into a journey, that's when all of these little business basics that I talked about come to an actual plan. And that is getting these people to realize that working with you is not just a one-time thing. It is a journey. And inside of that journey, we're going to help you attain the best possible outcomes that you can attain no matter where you are in life. So when I started to talk about all these different business basics, whether it is converting the patients you already have, reaching out to businesses, doing different types of marketing strategies, becoming the beacon, all of these things talk about the journey that you take people on. And the social proof that we put out there talks about, yes, I didn't come in here and I'm never coming back to this place again because they healed me once and I'm done. Nobody's able to do that. Our bodies are going to continue to break down. As soon as we're born, we're on a clock. And our body knows that. It's going to go through a growth and then it's going to go through a decline. But we can manage that decline much better with regenerative medicine. And we have to teach that to our potential patients. And that's about letting them know that working with us is going to be a journey. But it's going to be a journey that we're going to go on together, and they do not have to feel alone. So thank you for allowing me to talk today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'll be there to help.